Alright, so I've been meaning to make this video for a long time now. It's about the Airlift 5000 Ultimate I have it on an F350 single rear wheel. I've had it on there for, oh goodness, it's probably almost 50,000 miles. Not quite, but close to 50,000 miles I've had it on there. About half of that was towing. Half of those miles would be towing, off and on. And then the other half, I haven't really towed much with it. We've sold camper and things like that, but I still have them on there on this truck, currently unloaded with just light stuff in the bed, like tools, saws, little things like that. I usually have them around 15 psi on each one. Can go down to about 10, but then it starts to sag a little bit because I have a 1.5 inch level up front, so usually keep it around 15, and that creates a levelness to the truck when unloaded. That being said, I honestly don't notice them there compared to stock. The truck does have Bilstein 1500s all around. It's had them on it since I owned the truck, so I kind of knew what it was like before and now afterwards. I would say I really don't notice them back there. No difference between them being on and not being on, and even adjusting PSI between 10 and 15. I don't really notice a huge difference in when the rear end hits bumps. This is unloaded, that is. I will say the biggest difference over time and kind of adjusting tire pressures in the truck, when the truck's unloaded, I usually have 65 in the front, 50 or 48, 50 psi in the rear, and that creates a much better ride comfort. Again, this is unloaded, and the tires do look hair low. Sometimes people will be like, are your tires low? And honestly, I've been riding like this or driving like this for 20,000 miles, and I've noticed really good even wear on the tires. Again, I won't go too much into this. This is more about tire pressure, and I can make another video on that, kind of explaining what's worked for me with tire pressure and tire wear, and ride comfort with that. But all that being said, with having these Airlift airbags in the rear at 15 psi with light stuff in the bed, again, we're talking maybe 150 pounds and stuff, maybe. And even when I take that stuff out, I don't really adjust it for it. I just leave the 15 pounds in there, based on the look and the fact that I don't really notice it. If you hit a big bump, you'll feel a little bit of a jostle, but again, that's probably more so the truck itself as opposed to, the Airlift doing that. It's an F350, so it's not going to ride like a Cadillac. But I've noticed the biggest increase in ride quality being the tire pressure, and adjusting that and kind of doing a little bit more, a little bit less, kind of finding what works, and also what doesn't look incredibly low and like, wow, tire could blow out any moment. But yeah, so overall I've had a great experience with them. No leaks. I do check them about once a month, the PSI in there, to see if it's gone down at all, to see if there's any leak. I did experience a leak, now thinking about it, about a year ago. I thought one of the bags had blown, or the lines had gotten a hole in it or something like that. Turns out it was just the valve itself had unscrewed a little bit in that Presta valve. So all I had to do was just get I ride bikes, and so I had the tool to tighten that up. I think they're like a couple bucks on Amazon. And so I just tightened it back up, no more leak. And I found that out after diagnosing the truck for a couple weeks and trying to figure out where's the leak coming from, and it was just the valve at the top, which isn't the Airlift's fault. That's just over time, I guess it loosened up. So you can tighten those down, and if you ever experience a leak, I would test that out first before looking at all the lines and trying to see if there's a leak in the bag and all that stuff. But yeah, no, they've been solid so far. No complaints at all. I'd highly recommend. The only complaint I really have was in the install. Ran into some things with that, which I think I mentioned that in the other video. Just some difficulty in removing the bump stops, because the bolts had rusted on, and so I had to actually cut those off with an angle grinder, or Sawzall, and fix the things. But other than that, I haven't had any issues once they've been installed, and they were done by myself under the truck, in a gravel driveway. So it can be done. Obviously, if you have a lift and everything, that makes things a ton more easy. But yeah, definitely recommend them. Haven't noticed anything different with the truck unloaded versus loaded. It does significantly help the truck when it is loaded. I did notice a huge difference there, mainly with that bumping, and I think I mentioned all that in the previous video. But if you want to hear another video about tire pressures, what I run and everything, I can make another one for that. That's where I noticed the biggest increase in ride quality is just kind of fine-tuning where your tire pressure should be based on what you do on a daily basis. Right now, like I said, I don't tow a ton anymore. I've thought about selling the truck, but it's just hard to let something like this go, especially with the market doing its crazy stuff. But again, this is a 2015 F350 single rear wheel crew cab with the short bed. It's not a long bed. It has a reverse level on it, so the rear blocks are actually F250 blocks, not 350 blocks. And then, so it's a little bit lower that way. And then I put a 1.5 inch level up front to kind of pull up the front. And what I do with the airbags is kind of adjust that. And the reason I did all of that was so that when we were towing the camper, the 350 sits a little bit higher in the rear, and so it was a little bit more difficult. I had to raise the camper up higher to get it on the 350. I needed the 350 for that extra leaf spring and all those extra things, towing weight, gross weight and all that. But it's nice that it actually sits a little bit lower, the height of an F250, and then once the camper is on there, or the trailer is on there, you can raise it and lower it to wherever you need. Same thing when it's unloaded. You know, if I aired them all the way out, it wouldn't be a ridiculous amount of squat, but there would be some. But again, you can just adjust that with the bags, and it makes up for it, and the ride quality really doesn't suffer that much. Again, it is a truck, but not a Cadillac, but I haven't noticed any drastic changes from what it was even stock. But yeah, again, if you want any more videos or questions about tire pressures or any other things on the truck, send me a message, comment on the video. I know the last video got a lot more responses than I was anticipating. I just kind of did it as a nonchalant video. I may make some more like actual legitimate videos versus me just talking. But if you have any questions, let me know. Here's this video out. I'll get it posted here soon.